Spiritual awakening can upend your life. Not in the theatrical sense people imagine, not because truth is cruel, and not because higher consciousness is a curse. The real wreckage happens when vision races ahead faster than your soul can find its footing. Many step onto the path expecting calm, clarity, maybe even a holy sigh of relief. They picture the veil lifting and the world suddenly snapping into meaning, cleaner, lighter, more exquisite. But the first chapter is often harsher. You start noticing how staged everything feels. Conversations sound scripted, social roles resemble costumes, beliefs look inherited rather than chosen. Even your own identity begins to feel suspicious, like a mask worn so long you forgot there was ever a face beneath it. At first, curiosity carries you. Curiosity always seems harmless. You ask a few deeper questions. You read about hidden histories, symbols, ancient teachings, natural law, the scaffolding beneath ordinary life. One idea links to the next, then another, and soon you're not exploring, you're descending. Midnight starts to feel like initiation. Patterns arise where you once saw chance. Synchronicities glow. Meaning hides in everything. In that rush, a quiet thought steals in, almost too soft to catch. Why am I seeing this when others aren't? Why does it feel like I've found a map no one knows exists? In that instant, awakening stops being a pursuit of truth and starts becoming a private chamber of mental intensity. People around you can't seem to enter. Something heavy forms below the surface, slowly, like frost spreading across glass while you're still admiring the view. Knowledge keeps expanding while your bond with ordinary life thins. Friends become harder to relate to. Small talk feels paper thin, nearly unreal. You live in the same world, but you no longer stand in it the same way. A strange distance opens up between you and what once felt familiar. People stop looking like people and start looking like patterns, scripts, conditioning, old wounds disguised as personality. At first, that seems like brilliance, sharp, insightful, but something colder is happening. You're no longer relating, you're surveilling, classifying, hovering outside the human moment instead of inside it. That's the first hidden cost no one mentions. Awareness doesn't always show up like dawn. Sometimes it shows up like a solvent. Not because truth is wicked, but because it can dissolve the structures that used to hold your life together, long before anything wiser has been built to replace them. Once that first crack appears, once the curtain parts and you glimpse how much was constructed, inherited, conditioned, or simply false, you can't return to innocence. Grief begins there. You mourn a world that was never fully real and yet still gave you ground. So yes, spiritual awareness can ruin your life. It ruins the life made of illusions, and for a while leaves you standing in the rubble, wondering if what comes next is freedom or collapse. This is where the path turns perilous. Not because you start seeing lies, but because you start losing warmth. Many assume spiritual growth is about collecting hidden knowledge, learning deeper frameworks, seeing corruption, decoding programming in society, religion, politics, culture, and behavior. On the surface, that looks like progress, like awakening. But there's a difference between expanded perception and deepened character. That difference changes everything. A sharp mind can shatter illusion in an afternoon. A heart strong enough to hold what's revealed takes years to craft. When one grows without the other, awareness stops feeling sacred and starts to corrode. Maybe you felt it, loving humanity in theory while losing patience with actual humans, caring about truth while resenting the asleep, seeing unconsciousness everywhere and slowly mistaking contempt for clarity. That toxin rarely arrives in a black cloak. It dresses up as intelligence, as discernment, as wakefulness, You tell yourself you're just being honest, that you've outgrown surface living. Beneath it all, something uglier forms: emotional superiority, spiritual elitism, resentment masquerading as insight. Nietzsche warned, if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Most hear that as, don't think too deeply. Not quite. A truer reading, stare at darkness without enough inner light, and darkness begins to rearrange your face. Right after that, a second trap opens. As illusion collapses, meaning often collapses with it. You see how much of life is inherited, socially manufactured, unconsciously repeated. Goals look borrowed, institutions hollow, identity assembled. A frightening question rises. If so much is fabricated, what's the point of any of it? This is where people confuse spiritual depth with nihilism. They believe they've transcended the world because nothing seems to matter. They're not free, they've just lost the capacity to care. One path hardens into hostility toward the world. Another floats off into abstraction, symbols, cosmology, mystical language, anything to keep you hovering above your life instead of returning to it. Different directions, same wound. One rejects the world, the other escapes it. Both quietly remove you from being fully human. Ancient traditions knew this better than much of modern spiritual culture. Hermetic thought, Taoist wisdom, initiatory paths, the mystery schools, they all understood that light and shadow aren't enemies on opposite sides of a battlefield. They're braided together like roots. Without inner grounding, it's not the shadow that's transformed by your awareness. Your awareness is shaped by the shadow. So a person can master sacred language and grow brittle, can collect esoteric insights and become emotionally stunted, can preach awakening while drifting from love, humility, and true presence. Knowledge is neutral. It always has been. Trouble begins when the intellect expands faster than your being can bear. Then truth doesn't liberate, it divides. If that split deepens, the journey starts to feel less like revelation and more like quiet exile from yourself. At some point, a realization dawns and redraws the map. Nothing is wrong with you. This phase isn't a failure, it's a stage. Brutal, yes, still a stage. Every serious tradition teaches that transformation unfolds in layers, not leaps. Awareness arrives first, capacity follows. Sight expands before strength does. Most of what we call a spiritual crisis is born in the space between those two movements. You see more than you can live. You perceive more than your nervous system can regulate. Your mind reaches a summit while your emotional life is still climbing out of the valley. No wonder you feel dizzy. You're trying to breathe air your inner world hasn't adapted to yet. In that sense, there are two awakenings. First is the awakening of sight. The veil thins. You perceive illusion, programming, symbolic architecture beneath appearances. That stage is dramatic and easy to romanticize. Far fewer speak of the second, the awakening of strength. This is where your inner life stabilizes enough to hold what you've seen without becoming bitter, inflated, detached, or shattered. The dark night of the soul lives in the distance between those awakenings. Collapse happens there. So does confusion. So does the exiled feeling from your previous life. Not because you failed, but because innocence ended while wisdom hasn't fully formed. Even old myths point here. Consider Adam and Eve. Read more deeply. Not merely a story of disobedience, but of unreadiness. They eat from the tree of knowledge and perception bursts open, yet nothing in them has matured enough to carry it. Exile follows, not only from a garden, but from innocence and simplicity, from the unbroken state that existed before awareness outran integration. The same pattern repeats today. Someone swallows more truth than their psyche can digest, and what could have been nourishment turns toxic. Not because truth harms, but because digestion matters. A body can choke on medicine taken in the wrong dose. A soul can too. Physiology matters, and we don't say that enough. The mind can grasp in an instant what the body, the nervous system, emotional maturity, and character cannot. That's why ancient paths emphasized initiation, preparation, stages, purification, humility, and discipline, not as gatekeeping, but as protection.
Manly P. Hall warned about the gap between knowing and becoming. Rudolf Steiner warned that higher knowledge doesn't automatically improve a person. It often intensifies what already lives within. If fear, ego, instability, or unhealed wounds remain, expanded awareness magnifies them. Seen this way, the threat isn't dark truth. The danger is receiving profound knowledge without the inner architecture to metabolize it. Once you understand that, something softens. You stop calling yourself broken. You start seeing yourself as unfinished, and that changes everything. Healing begins the moment you stop worshiping your distance. A lot shifts when you realize the coldness wasn't wisdom, it was armor. Detachment wasn't higher vision, it was overwhelm wearing a philosopher's coat. Contempt for the unconscious was never strength, it was fear turned outward. Beneath the irritation, judgment, and quiet superiority was something simpler and more human, not knowing how to belong anymore. When that becomes visible, compassion returns, not as a performance, not as a polished virtue, but as remembering what people are. Not NPCs, not programs, not cardboard cutouts in a scripted world. Human beings carrying invisible scar tissue, histories, conditioning, abandonment, loss, survival patterns, unspoken grief. Suddenly, the crowd doesn't look asleep, it looks wounded and familiar. Another shift follows. Meaning has to be rebuilt on purpose. When borrowed structures collapse, social goals, cultural scripts, inherited beliefs, you face a terrifying freedom. No one can hand you a prefabricated reason to live that will still hold. Strangely, that's not the end of meaning, it's the beginning of responsibility. Some things matter because you were told they should. Others matter because your soul chooses them. Once you ask what is worthy of your devotion now, something inside begins to move again. Not because certainty returns, but because participation does. Existential thought grazes a power here. When meaning isn't guaranteed, choice becomes sacred. The answer isn't pretending life is packed with ready-made significance. The answer is choosing what will become significant through attention, integrity, service, and love. Then a return to life begins, quieter than you expect. No fireworks, no cosmic slogans, more like settling back into your body after years of hovering above it. Carl Jung helped many for this reason. His work didn't point toward escape. He spoke of making the unconscious conscious, of integration over avoidance, of wholeness over performance. That shift changes everything. Shadow work stops being trendy language and becomes a bridge. You ask harder questions. Why was that truth so seductive? Which wound interpreted it? What part of me benefited from being detached, superior, unreachable, sheltered behind concepts? These questions aren't punishments, they're doors. Walk through them, and awareness stops floating above life and starts entering it. Relationships feel real again. Breath feels real again. Mornings feel real again. Awareness no longer extracts you from the world. It deepens your way of standing within it. That's when alchemy stops being a metaphor and becomes a practice. Old meanings burn away. Shadow shows why you clung to them. From the wreckage, something conscious is forged, led into gold. Not because pain was glamorous, but because pain became material. Your wounds, your collapse, your dismantled worldview, your stripped-down sense of the false, none of it must be wasted. It can become ground to build on with intention, new values, new inner laws, new devotion, new participation. Unapplied knowledge stays abstract and destabilizing. Embodied knowledge matures into wisdom. Lived wisdom ripens into something like gnosis. Not information, but reality digested into being. And when that happens, spiritual awareness no longer ruins your life in the old way. It ruins what was false, so something more honest can finally stand.